Great.
How are you?
I'm good. I just picked my son up from school because he banged his head.
All right.
And I managed to get back just in time for this meeting. Perfect timing. So it all worked out nicely.
Is he okay?
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah. You know, just he's quite keen on football. Oh, well, I'm going to just take this call and tell him I can call him back. It's a birthday party organisation. Hi, Joe. All right, thank you. I'm just in a little sort of interview thing on Zoom. Can I give you a call back in about? Okay, brilliant. All right, lovely. Okay, bye now. Bye. There we are.
Life for being famous, eh?
Well, that's actually my son's birthday is this Saturday. He's back there somewhere. Say hi, Milo. Hi. and he's having a joint birthday party, so we're going to organise whatever needs to be organised and stuff like that, you know.
Oh, brilliant. Anyway, how have yourself and the rest of the band been during these difficult times?
Well, we've been all right, you know. We've been you know, we did a lockdown gig about 4 weeks ago now. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah, I was just saying, like, I think it's the because I've got kids and stuff. There's various WhatsApp groups of parents and.
Signal's gone again. Right.
Yeah, but it's been quite. Yeah, I was just saying that the internet's been amazing at keeping. Without the internet, I think people would felt a lot more isolated.
Yeah.
Because you can chat, you can do stuff like this.
You know. Yeah. The amount of it's like you're unable to tour, but you're like I was saying earlier, you learn to adapt, and
yeah,
it's amazing what you can do with just a bit of technology.
It is incredible. Yeah, it's quite amazing technology, actually.
Yeah.
It's not the same as obviously meeting people or being near people in this experience, but it's a downside better than having just isolation and you know it's yeah.
It is. It's really really good. Can we start right at the beginning with your music, and what did you grow up listening to, and how did you meet the rest of the band?
Well, basically, my first love, I mean, my parents played a lot of music, all sorts. But my dad was a big fan of Louis Armstrong, but only till about 1927. And he had a few blues records, like Lead Belly, and that was something we used to listen to. And my mum had like Charlie Parker and Lionel Hampton and Stevie Wonder, and we always used to listen to the top 20 on a Sunday. But my real love was rock and roll. And there was a teacher in school and I learned to play like and I had a teacher who taught me some stuff. And of course it was like the 70s, so that you couldn't really go online and hear any music you wanted. So it was quite a sort of rare thing. So I used to like Shawadi Wadi because they were the closest thing to like Teddy Boys and stuff.
Yeah.
And I went to see Jerry Lee Lewis when I was 12, my first gig.
Wow.
And he played all country and western. There were loads of Teddy Boys and girls there. You know, it was like before, actually it was before punk really, you know, and all the modern rockers and stuff. So that's my first time. And you can learn to play like Summertime Blues and things like that. It's 3 chords. So you can play like Buddy Holly songs and things like that. And then like in high school, I kind of got more into sort of like, we were kind of heads really. We like sort of, like there were some squats near us and these guys had, when we were like teenagers, had like the Pink Fairies and Hawkwind and stuff like that. And then Frank Zappa and reggae. And then like some fusion like Billy Cobham. Amazing music, like kind of far out. And we were sort of, you know, getting a bit stoned and this sort of thing. And, you know, I had a band in school with a couple of friends and we'd like skip off school and he had a drum kit and his parents didn't mind us going around there and we'd play and write our own songs.
Yeah.
And then in high school, Jan and Andrew, they were kind of more into jazz funk. And we used to have a sort of joke about rock versus soul and this sort of thing. But we used to get together and jam like once a year.
Yeah.
And then later on, I went to like art college and Andrew joined art college and we became mates. And we started going around and sort of like, he was more into clothes than me. I was kind of like, didn't have any sartorial things. So he was into like, so we started wearing a few crazy clothes and we started going to this club called the Cat in the Hat. And they were playing like really rare groove, you know, the kind of stuff that was like before hip hop, you know.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of music that people would eventually sample. And we were going to Dingwalls and Giles Peterson was playing there. And I'd never danced or anything like that. I was a fish out of water, really. But we made a cassette in the drummer's bedroom because his dad had this really awesome mic that picks up all the bass and everything. It was like, and we took this cassette to the club and they one of the tunes. And because all the records are so like unknown and sounded all different production wise, because it was like they were made in like the early 70s, it just fitted in and people carried on dancing. Some of the DJs joined the band. And then we did a gig at their club, and then we did another gig there, another gig there, and then eventually, you know, those DJs sort of left, but we scraped together the money to make an album. And then this label in America, they'd made some money with Tone Loc, who did The Funky Cold Medina, and they heard our record and like and signed us up from. Well, we got signed to Acid Jazz first.
Yeah.
They were just like a small label acting out of like a box room in Hackney, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was all like a real like one 12, one single and then one thing. Really small days, you know, early, not like the Spice Girls at all. Like a real, you know. And we were also at the same time there were all these clubs opening up. The warehouse scene was opening up before the rave scene, and that was like, you know, like a funky room and a housey room and stuff like that. And we were putting on our own parties. And, you know, there's one thing we did, and I remember Andrew, the bass player, he climbed up a lamppost and plugged in wires into the lamppost to get power in to power like the DJ decks and the amps and everything. Like really crazy. You sort of do it yourself, kind of like.
Yeah.
And then there was a few clubs starting, and it was really like all sorts of different people, like, you know, like middle class, working class, black and white girls and boys. It was really a kind of groovy thing. And then of course like the rave scene came in and kind of like we became like a bit obsolete really in some ways. But we did have a hit when we put a single out in America. We got to number 3 in the American charts, in the R&B charts, or urban charts as they're called now. And that woke up the UK to get us a record deal here. So we kind of put the album out in America, then we added a single in England, then we got a new singer to sing it all again. And then we added a single, then we put it out in England again with this another song on it. So it's all like, you know, a bit sort of like not the dream. It was like you know, like the real thing, really, and still is. You know,
that's the thing about it. You've got this huge story, and it's amazing listening to it. It's like when I first left the army, I formed a band, and we were just, you know what I mean? I had an acoustic guitar. I couldn't afford at the time a bass guitar, so I took two pegs off and put some bass strings on it. And because it was an acoustic guitar, my mate, he had an electric guitar, but he had the really quiet amplifier. So I was out overpowering him with my acoustic guitar. So I had to go into the kitchen to play it. We put this tape deck on, and I was still overpowering it. And we just constantly laugh about stupid things. I actually think, wow, what we did back then and all that, just to make a couple of records.
I know, yeah. And that's it. I heard, you know, New Order. I think it's Peter Hook plays the bass, and he plays a lot of high lines, like high up the bass.
Yeah.
And that's not because it was a clever idea. It's because he had this really crap amp, and when he played low, it just, you couldn't hear anything. So he had to play it high, so you can hear the notes with the drums and everything.
Yeah.
This is invention, creation. That's the beautiful thing. And now we have computers with like orchestras and pianos and having everything in them. And you know, I still always find myself going back to listen to like live bands, and you know, it's a pain in the ass being in a band. It's easy to work on a computer. You can do everything yourself, and
yeah,
you know, make a dance record and get a singer in or something. But I think bands and fighting, it's like a little surrogate family, and a bit of you know, you hang out and you share music, and you know, I think that creates something different anyway. And I always tend to go back and listen to like
it's definitely like something when you're a band, because like you say, you're like a part of a family, a dysfunctional family, and like we played over around around the UK, and it's like I remember we were playing up in we were supposed to have played up in Newcastle, and me and the singer went up the day before to make sure everything was all right. So my the guitarist was driving a van up with the equipment, and there was two other boys which were their band was supporting us, and they were driving up, and they said, "Oh, if you stay on the M6 and go up now and then cut across by Carlisle, then you could get to Newcastle that way." So we drove up, stopped our services, and crashed the van into services. And he was like, "Oh, shall I drive off? Shall I drive off?" And there was a police car parked right near, well, like a few cars down. And he was on about driving off. We never did the gig because we were waiting, and they were going, there was these fans there, and we going, "Oh, you haven't turned up. Where are you? Where are you? Carlisle. What the hell are you doing in Carlisle?" You know, we're near it.
And before mobile phones as well, probably, was it?
Yeah. No, we had mobile phones, but it was not the too expensive ones. The Nokia, I think it's 3310. Those ones.
Yeah.
With you've just released Live in Tokyo 1992.
Yeah.
Firstly, I've been listening to it, and it's brilliant. It's so I can't think of a word for it now, but it is soothing to listen to, especially at the beginning with the instrumental side of it. But what made you choose to release it now than from the past? Was it to do with COVID, or?
Well, I think you know, it's possibly to do with COVID, and just sort of like, you know, the label said, "Well, we can put this out." They had the tape of it, and they gave us a little bit of an advance, keeps the overdraft at bay, and you know, we've been going to Japan like for years and stuff, and I think it's and at the same time we were doing the live from Jazz Cafe stream, and it was quite a nice little tie-up really, because that was like from our first album.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting listen, because it's like, you know, we were very young and we were just, you know, never really thought we'd ever, you know, there's a few things that happen that you get the breaks, you know,
Yeah.
and make it, you know, like and it's a nice record, you know. It's like there's all these bits that we don't do it. I forgot we used to do, like in the instrumental People Get Ready, like Andy just plays a completely different bass line under the sax solo, da-da-dun, da-da-dun. And that's the kind of bass line we used to jam over, because when we used to jam, we jammed every Sunday in the drummer's bedroom before we did any records or anything like that, for like hours and hours, and we just play one groove for ages and ages, you know. And yeah, it's kind of like really nice record of what was happening, you know, the acid jazz scene and all the other bands that came out of that, you know. It's kind of like, yeah, it's nice to be part of it, because one thing about acid jazz is that it leads you to listening to the music that influenced us, like Herbie Hancock and James Brown and Earth, Wind and Fire, whatever, or even deeper jazz, you know. And I think that's a nice thing about that scene. You know, it's a more sort of kind of sophisticated sounding music, but it's not that difficult to do. But you know, we were all sort of about our snare sounds and reverbs and things, so it's got that kind of a little bit of like sophistication to it. Over like I mean, my first band, we do Motorhead covers and stuff like that, you know, which is a bit more like 3-piece, you know what I mean? But so it's a bit more sophisticated and quite interesting. You know, we were like 22 or something like that, 21.
I joined the army in 1991, and the first thing which always came back to me, and when I was talking to someone the other day, and I said, "Oh, I'm interviewing the brand new Heavies," and they were like, "Oh, that name rings a bell." And the first thing I said, because the first time I got to listen to you was Midnight at the Oasis.
Oh yeah,
and that was because it was everywhere. It was always played on BFPS, which is the British Forces Broadcasting. It was always played over, and that was because I was always on tour. I was in Northern Ireland, places like that. That's the one song which always stuck to me. Now, I'm a massive Motorhead fan, but if someone said to me, right, name a Motorhead song, you'd be like, oh, Ace of Spades and all that. But when someone mentioned your name, I was like, straight away, Midnight at the Oasis, and he was like, wow, hang on, I got that right. It was so long ago. But brilliant. I love the album. I love live albums anyway, because they just give so much. And I think sometimes with a normal record, you listen to it, but then you go and see the band live and you think,
yeah, we have that strength. I'm reading this book about Casablanca Records. And they had Kiss, and they just tried everything to make them work, and they made a live record, which is their first sort of gold album. Yeah, but they re-recorded a lot of it. Yeah, and this record is basically just like, I think it's a stereo mix to the desk, so it's all live. There's no like, let's tune that, redo that. So it's a real thing, you know.
I'm a massive Kiss fan, and I remember with the Kiss Alive, and I was like, oh, this is absolutely brilliant. This is wow, they captured it and all that. But then all these years down the line, when you started reading autobiographies and you're reading about the history, and you're like, hang on a second, but we recorded the majority of the album, and you're like, oh, bloody hell, you're going to ruin it for me.
I know. I mean, it would have been what they would have played, but I think they looked around so much.
Yeah.
And doing so many like mad, crazy stage stuff.
Oh,
that,
well, that's the one thing. Like I say, with Kiss, I'm like, right, I'm reading the autobiography, like by Gene Simmons, only put vocals on this song, and you're like, hang on a sec. What's going on here? And Ace really wouldn't turn up, and then Peter Chris wouldn't turn up, so you'd have other drummers and other guitarists, and you're like, oh, this is just make-believe.
I know. I tell you what I was enjoying recently is a great band is AC/DC, you know.
Yeah.
Incredible. Because even when like punk came out and all the sort of long-haired rock was like slightly sort of pushed to the side, they were so tough and real that like I think they kept their cred, you know what I mean, through it all.
Yeah.
They were like sort of like, you know, proper like brawling drinkers. You know, like Thin Lizzy I love as well. I love my 70s rock really. Zeppelin. And then the Floyd, I like Genesis and all sorts of stuff. Yes, I love it all.
There's so many amazing artists out there. Which,
I feel so lucky now with the internet. You know, and I sort of always like jazz, and you can listen to like jazz now. And it's just mind blowing. And I'm like a chameleon. I like it all.
Yeah.
You know, when we were a kid, it's like you either like this or that, didn't you? You like mods or rockers, or you know. And you can't listen to that. Is that allowed? You know, but now I'm like, fuck
it. Well, that's the one thing. Since I started Therapy to a Lens, I was like, right, no, Kiss, Metallica, Megadeth. Here's no other bands, Black Sabbath, all these. No, I'm not listening to any new bands or anything like that. But I started having stuff sent to me by Napalm Records and Metal Blade Records, and I was like,
I think I know who's the guy from Napalm. Yeah, I know the guy he tour manages. The guy from Napalm.
Yeah,
what's his name now? I'm still in touch with him.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, carry on. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, but they were sending me all this music for me to review, and I was like, okay, I suppose I'm gonna have to do it. And I listened to it, and I'd be like, bloody hell, this is good. So I'd be writing my review, and I'd be like, that's amazing. So then I'd put another album on and be like, oh my God, that's bloody brilliant. And I was like, hang on a sec, why have I bloody, for the last 40 odd years, just let myself be with blinkers on and just thinking, oh, Kiss and Megadeth and Metallica is the only way forward. And there's so many amazing artists out there. And I've got, on Thursday, I'm interviewing a band, The Damn Truth from America, and their album is being produced by Bob Rock, who did Metallica, Motley Crue, and all that. And I listened to the album, and I'm like, oh my God, this is top notch. And that's the one thing I've learned since doing this, that there's so much music out there which needs to be listened to. And I try my best to try and promote everything which I can. No, some amazing artists.
That's great to hear. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, you know, you get something. You listen to new stuff is can be a bit of a challenge, but yeah, it's definitely worth it. Yeah.
Your last full studio album was released in September 2019.
Yeah.
Have you been writing any new material for an album in the future?
Yeah, well, we're about to start working on a new album. Obviously, it's been like difficult with the lockdown, you know, not knowing another lockdown, and you know, we like to sort of get together and hang out together and write together a lot, and that's not possible, you know. So like that is going to be happening now.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So do you write parts and then send them in over to the rest of the band? for them to either come up with their parts or to learn the parts you have written?
Well, a bit of everything, you know. We'll you know, one sort of sits down and writes. So you can write something on your own, and you know, even write a bass line or some keyboard parts, and get together and everyone adds their flavor to it.
Yeah.
Or you'll get together in a room and just, you know, start jamming, and then we always come up with something like too much. I've got so many ideas on my dictaphone, like, you know, I don't think I'll ever get to them all, but
oh,
you know,
I'm sure you will.
yeah.
It's like, well, you've got your tour coming up at the end of towards the end of the year, and are you excited to get back out on the road?
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, in a way, one gets used to sort of being a bit like housebound and a bit, you know. And I'm older now, so I'm a bit like, will it take its toll on me?
Yeah,
it's quite a party band.
When I was thinking of the questions, that's the first thing which I thought. Were they are musicians now? Because obviously it's been such a long time since the tour. Would you be like nervous getting up there and thinking, all right?
No, I think it. No, well, for me, it's more like, let's go out there and really, you sort of learn to appreciate, you know, every moment, especially as you get older. Every day should be like, not live it like your last, but, you know, like, and whenever we do a show, like, however big or small, one person there, whatever.
Yeah.
We actually did a show in America once. It's really badly booked, and we were in, I don't know where town, and you had to drive like an hour out of the town to this smaller like suburb in this little bar. And the only poster was outside with like 5 other bands on it, and the only people watching were the support band and about 4 other people. And I said to myself, guys, we're at Wembley Stadium, it's sold out, let's go out and knock them dead. Because that person, even if you change one person's life and turn them on and make them feel groovy, you know, that's worth it. And so, you know, just even go more over the top in that situation. So yeah, we're looking forward to sort of going out and just fucking having it, you know, just going for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
no,
I'm
looking forward to it. Sorry?
Yeah, not so much nervous, like, because I kind of got over that like a while ago. It's more like go out and just give it, you know what I mean? Like own it and enjoy it. And
are these is this tour now which is coming up, is this something which was planned before COVID and then you had to rearrange, or did you wait until you thought, right, COVID is now going, there's vaccinations and things like that, we can get out and do a tour? So was it rearranged or not?
Oh, it was, yeah, it was there. We had most of the gigs we do now were planned for like already, like, you know, December last year, you know, and stuff like that. So they just like rescheduled shows, and a few new ones added here and there, but mostly rescheduled. Yeah, all the festivals and stuff, you know, really tough for people. I mean, people are taking a real knock, you know.
Yeah. With the artists and the bands and all that, clearly you're taking a huge knock, but mentally, fans as well. They because, like, for me, I keep saying to my dad, I can't wait to go to a concert. I just cannot wait. It's affected me that bad. Where prior to it, I was like, oh yeah, right, I'll go to that concert, and I won't go to that one. I'm going to try and go to as many as I can because I've missed it so much.
Well, it's also there's a lot of bands that, you know, you're talking about like listening to old music and then new music. There's a lot of bands that I like now that I didn't really like at the time that I would have gone to see.
Yeah,
and I think that's a part of that as well. Like, just get out and see bands because it's good for you. It's good for the bands, and it's like, you know, that's that. Simple as that.
I've said to so many people, especially over this last 12 months, that the way I support bands, obviously you've got Spotify and you've got all the social streaming. But for me, I just think that if you're a fan of music, then go out and buy the album. Go out and buy the record. Buy even if it's just one T-shirt. You're having something physical. And yeah, it's great to have social Spotify in your car when you're driving. But for me, I've got 5 albums which turned up today, and for me, I just think supporting an artist is getting a bit of merchandise, buying a solid either a CD or a vinyl. That's what I've been trying to get across to people.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, literally, you know, people will go now to Starbucks and buy a coffee for like £4.
Yeah.
And a sandwich is like 10 quid. That's the price of a CD, and people don't buy a CD or a T-shirt. You know, they'll spend money on a cup of like water with a spoonful of freaking coffee in it. And I'm the same, you know. And when you realise that, like, so I try and buy records, especially like people I know. Yeah. I'll buy their record. As you say, just because they're often not funded. They're not on major labels. And if you don't buy these bands' record, they can't survive. They can't make another record. And all you do is get spoon-fed major label commercial stuff. Not all bad, but kind of like, you know, that's not indicative of like what's really happening in scenes and in the real world, you know, like.
I tried to get like, especially since I've been doing this, if there's an album which I really, really love and I can go on there and they've got it on vinyl, then I'm like, right, I'm buying the vinyl. Hopefully, some of them are doing these coloured vinyls and things like that, but I've been collecting coloured vinyls since the early 1980s. Yeah. And it's like, I go out there and I go, right, if I got an option, I'm buying a vinyl. If the band is not putting vinyl out, then I get the CD for vinyl all the way for me.
I've got loads of vinyl. I'm just going to go downstairs. I hope the internet doesn't cut out, because my internet connection is a bit weird when I go up and down the stairs. But that's fantastic. I salute you. For those about to buy vinyl, we salute you.
Yeah. I've got one more question for you. Finally, is there any venues or locations on the tour you're visiting for the very first time?
I think there are some. Yeah, there's some new. There's a new festival called Pub in the Park, and it's like a sort of, they do them all over the place, and they have all like chefs cooking like really nice food and like really good beer and stuff. Yeah. And it's kind of like quite family oriented. And as we're an older band, a lot of people basically, like, you know, they've saw the Heavies when they were at university or whatever. Yeah. They had kids, and now they want to take. Everyone says, "I want to play my kids like proper music, like backed by bands and everything." Yeah. And so there's millions of festivals now, and I think the festival is something that you know, being outside and hearing like music, it's something inside the human. I think that's what Stonehenge was built for. It wasn't all doom and gloom and sacrifices. There's a lot of evidence of big feasting near the river, and then watching the sun come up. That's a light show, isn't it? I reckon they were banging drums and having a good time. And I think, and so all these festivals are brilliant for bands, all bands. And so we're doing some festivals we haven't done before. And there's a few other venues that, on the itinerary that I haven't seen, like, you know, in castles and things like that. Well, it's lovely. There's always great food, and everyone really cares about the food, and They hire people in and do like decent burgers. It's you know, it's great. It's a great
music outside is just something. It's something I try to encourage everyone, like in my family. Like if you get an opportunity, go to a festival, because you'll never ever be, you'll never regret it. You will always have music which you will love, and there's great food, there's great beer. Yeah, some of them can be expensive, but some of them are not. And I just think live music outside is something special.
I do. I agree. It's I think it resonates with the human thing, you know. And that's all I can say, really.
And like you say, you're going all the way back to, like you say, with Stonehenge and all that. It's me personally, I don't think sacrificing the things. I just think it's one of those locations that people from all around the UK travel to and feasted and enjoyed.
Well, another thing I think people didn't live that long in those days, and it's apparently built by like quite young people.
Yeah.
Because you know your hair, your teeth, you've got ill and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if you look at young people through the ages, they've always at that age.
Yeah.
I saw this documentary one. It's all like people with sort of like, you know, fur hairs and sacrificing, all this kind of like doom and gloom stuff. And like, who's right? Who's saying that's how it was? I think they're having a good time. I think it was the first festival site.
Yeah.
It's like they're having a good time. Meeting girls, meeting boys, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know,
I totally agree. Like it is definitely. Me personally, I don't think there's like sacrificing and things like that. You look at the Eisteddfod, all that is to do with poetry, about music, druids, all going back to that sort of period, and nobody's going to sacrifice it. But all the music which goes there, and it's feasting. People going along, there's musicians which are just sat there with a guitar playing at the table. And I just think, I think that's what it was like all those years ago, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, one thing that always baffles me, because it's to do with like the solstice, isn't it, and stuff, is that we all our big celebrations. Well, there's no celebrations based around the longest and shortest day of the year. I mean, they're really crucial. That's about food. Without that, we're kind of.
I keep saying
we celebrate someone's birthday, and he wouldn't even if wanted us to do that.
Yeah. Well, I was born on the 21st of June.
So like JC, you know, we have Christmas Day. He would have said, "No, don't do that for me," because I'm like a humble guy, right?
Yeah.
But you know, anyway.
I tell people that they go, "Where was you born?" Because I was born on 21st of June. I keep saying, "Oh, Stonehenge, just on there." Yeah, I was. My mother was on a big rock, and all of a sudden I came out and.
I'm not telling you what I bought in the corner shop. I'm not telling you what I bought in the corner shop.
Come and look. So this is my daughter, and she's not telling me what she bought in the corner shop. But I know it's got to have sugar in it.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Am I right? You're sweet enough already, darling.
No.
Oh, that's that.
But anyway, Simon, has been brilliant speaking to you.
Yeah, nice one. Great. So I'll speak to you again.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you on tour.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm going to give you a shout because when the brand new Heavies started getting famous, we used to just play funk and just instrumentals all day. Yeah. And once you get into the machine, you have to write songs that engage with the charts and stuff like that. And but at that time, I wanted to make a 3-piece sort of funky rock thing because I sort of like rock and I like funk, and I was like,
Yeah.
So I made this album, which I started 33 years ago.
Wow.
33 revolutions. and it's not really how I wanted it to be, but it was sort of like a sort of funky rock thing. It's like a 3-piece. Well,
Yeah.
there's a few overdubs and bits and bobs, but yeah, I might give you a shout and talk to you about that, because you know, it's not that I want to. It's a bit of something I did, and I've always been a bit shy about it, because it's like me on the line on my own.
Yeah.
And it's not going to change the world, but you know, it's a little sort of thing towards like the Led Zeppelin, Cream, Jimi Hendrix experience sort of thing, but not really like, it's, you know, it's not as groundbreaking as that, but it's a bit funky, a bit rocky. Anyway, I might give you a shout about that, because I think you might be the man.
Definitely. Absolutely, definitely. You've got my email address, so yeah, just give me a bell, let me know, and yeah, sort something out.
Appreciate it. And what was the band you're raving about? They're called. I'm gonna have a look now.
The Damn Truth.
Like the Damned, like the Damn Truth.
Yeah, the Damned, or Damn, DAMN.
Oh yeah.
And the new album is coming out in May. I got sent it for me to have a listen to go interview them on Thursday. But they've got other albums out, and they're good.
Excellent.
So yeah, just give me a bell whenever, and you go from there.
Yeah, rock on. Have a good day, Michael.
And yourself. Take care.
Cheers, mate. Bye now. Bye now. Cheers, mate.
All right, mate.
Bye.